And Jerry Brewer, those two, the one on the end and the other end, own Corvettes. They pulled up a sign at McDonald's to get Corvette parking only.
Ooh, nice.
You can be the owner of one in mine.
And so when you go get your car washed, you go down Burlington Pike
Yes.
to Bailey's Car Wash.
Yes.
And that's Justin over there who owns it.
I've been through there before.
Well, I guess. Depends
Well, he
on-
needs more.
He does
He
need
should
more.
come more in,
We need
more often.
more, yes. Well, it's very nice.
And they'll be there with my aunt.
And I'm John Stephenson.
Oh, John, yeah, I forgot. I left John out. I'm sorry.
I'm John Stephenson.
Nice to
And now
meet
you're
you.
on Facebook and YouTube.
Well,
And what's your name?
Adrian.
Adrian.
Yes.
Adrian?
You are so beautiful
Well, thank
to
you.
me.
I take it you're a singer.
I'm a singer. I'm not a swinger, but I'm a singer.
Very nice pipes.
God bless you.
Have a good day.
He's a handsome man, he is.
Gary seen you around here and there? Yeah, you do. Yeah. Sure. I'm doing great.
Steve,
Oh, what,
Senator?
what's your name? I don't know. Have we ever met before? Leave me alone. Hey, how you doing, Dixie? Oh, yes. I know, yeah, no. It's you. How did you end up being related? Because he's much older than I am. Older and wiser? Okay, yeah, that's what younger brothers are for. They definitely tell you where the older one has messed up.
He's much younger, too. He's much younger, by the way.
It's much younger.
Oh, tremendous amount.
Well, my youngest, we had 4 boys. My youngest boy says he's the smartest.
Here in film this and put it on YouTube and Facebook as my one famous senator here. My
Okay.
goodness gracious sakes
Famous or
alive.
infamous?
He's famous and he's a good one. Now tell us who they are, who you are.
No, I'm Senator Jay Williams. It's GEX, but pronounced J only in Kentucky.
And where would people be able to reach you?
Well, I'm
The
in-
legislature.
I'm the legislature. 502-564-8100. Ask for Senator Williams.
That's what they need to know, and they will get a man that answers the questions and knows the answers and does a beautiful job. God bless you.
Thank you very much. God bless you, John.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. My family was never my way to
Let me get the truth here. Hello. Tell us who you are now, so I got you on video.
I'm TJ Roberts, representative for District 66.
And a great representative.
Thank you.
And
Marianne Proctor, represent the 60th Union in parts of Florence.
2 great ones. My goodness gracious sakes alive. We're pleased tonight. I read all your things on Facebook and YouTube, and I'm glad you're doing well. God bless you.
God bless you. Hey, John.
Have a seat anywhere you want. I got your bottle of water, but we're not gonna start.
Yeah, you need to get some.
Oh, John? Well, how's the
Yeah.
Hi, how are you?
Anyway, you got the message.
Mayor, well, God bless you. So nice to see you. I just want to shake your hand. I want to ask you a little question. I know tonight's what's going to happen here. They invited me to come. I'll sing if they want me to, my old Kentucky home. But I want to tell you this. I got an invitation to come on the 7th to a
The Veterans Hall of Fame?
Veterans Hall of Fame. And somebody said about singing my old Kentucky home, but I wanted to talk to you about it first. Is that okay if I come to that?
Well,
And I'll film it for
it's
you and
not
put
my
it.
event, but I'm sure it'll be fine.
Well, I'll film it, put it on YouTube and Facebook, my YouTube channel.
That's great.
And promote it. I've got another golf outing I'm promoting, and then on the day before that, over in Campbell County, the Jimmy Guyman
You make
Jr.
the
one.
rounds.
Well, I do. I try to. Bill DeAndrea called me and asked me to come out tonight, film it, and I'll put it on YouTube and Facebook. Now, you're the mayor in Florence, and how long have you been there?
This is starting my 3rd year.
Your 3rd year, and you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
And I'm very proud of you. And it's a great city, but it's with great people. And,
Lots of great employees, lots of great residents.
absolutely. And I understand Diane Ewing's back on council,
She
isn't she?
is.
Well, tell her I said hello and I love her.
Absolutely.
And I talked to somebody about her the other
Gary
night.
and David here also tonight. They're on
Is that
tonight.
right? Well, good. Are they?
David Schneider
Do I
and
see
Jerry
them
Webb.
back there? Have I seen them? Or?
Two
Okay.
gentlemen over there, yeah.
I will get them on here too.
Yes.
Well, God bless you, and nice to be here with you.
Oh, thank you.
You take care. Look forward to singing for you.
I don't know if that's right.
10 o'clock, okay. That'll be fine. I'll check it out.
Okay.
One of my old friends died too, Philip Talifero.
I saw that.
Yeah, his son called me the other night. And they're not going to do the funeral until later in June because his son's getting married this weekend. And so, sad, huh? And his son's got the same name, Philip Talifero IV. And, but anyway, I said, well, just let me know. I always sang at all of Phil's big rallies he had at the house with Martha Lane. Of course, Emma and Dr. Poore were the 3 that got Martha. We were her 3 big soldiers to get her elected. Wasn't easy.
No. Well, was she the first woman?
First woman,
Yeah.
still the first woman, the only woman to get elected governor.
I guess you're right.
Yeah. I loved her myself. I really thought she did a good job. Now,
I liked her.
yeah, she had a husband that was shaky, but he came out of it. He served his time, and the last time he was up to Talifero's gathering, I thanked him and said hi to him, hugged him, and Martha Lane really appreciated that. But I always sang for her. She was a wonderful lady. She's still alive.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, she's still alive now. But all the other ones that were in that, Dr. Poore, and of course now Tolliver, I'm the only one still alive. I'm 81, and I'm close to having problems. Well, I about died in that accident I had January the 4th. You don't realize how an accident like that can really mess you up real quick.
It takes, the older you get, the longer it
Yeah,
takes to recover.
that's right.
Yeah.
Well, wish you well. And if I ever help in anything you're trying to get done in the city, and I can help you, John Stephenson's my name, and I'm not afraid to get involved.
Yeah, good to see you.
Let me get a picture of you two here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And here we have your name?
Ron Bond.
Oh, is that right? Well, you're another one out there working for the people, aren't you?
Try.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, God bless both of you.
We have good people.
Yes, you do have good
Very
people.
purple.
You know, I think it was intended more difficult. All right. I'd like to thank everyone to the May 2025 Boone County Business Association General Meeting. And tonight we're hosting a small business legislative forum. Our moderator will be John Schickel. We'll turn the floor over to him in just a second. But the first thing we'd like to do, a couple little bits of business. First, we'd like to have everyone stand, and we're going to have Gary Wynn offer a prayer, please.
Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. Lord, we thank you for this group of people and the work that we try to do here. We grateful for our elected officials that are here and the work they try to do, not only locally, but down in Frankfurt. And Lord, bless this group. Give us the strength to do the things that we need to do for the county and for our residents. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Remaining standing, we'll do the pledge.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And again, I'd like to thank everyone for being here. We're going to turn matters over to Senator John.
Thank you, President. Thank you, Dave. It's a great honor to see so many people here, or I shouldn't say so many, but those of you who showed up. And we have members here, and we also have quite a few, or some small business people here, which is great to see the business owners here. And it's great to see so many county officials here. Mayor, thank you for coming. Commissioner, thank you for coming. Of course, we have Councilman Gary Wynn, he's here. What other public officials do we have? Councilman Dave Schneider, who also serves as our president. Before I get started,
It's also on council.
and yeah, he's on council and he's our president. Before I get started, I want to reflect a little bit on the history of this organization, because I think it's important. I see the mayor there shaking her head, and her father was a big part of that. My first memory of the Boone County Business Association, or the Boone County Business Association, was back in the late 70s when we went to Frankfurt to lobby to make Kentucky 18 a 4-lane highway to Burlington. That's hard to believe, but that was my first memory. But our club goes back before that. Bill McCarty, Don Davis, Dick Davis, these people are charter members, 50+ members of our club. This club was originally started by a state representative, and to go to Frankfurt, to lobby on behalf of Boone County business. And we've had our ups and downs since then. We've had lots of members, and we've had a few members, but we keep on trucking. And so it's a really honor for me to be here as the past president of this organization, a 50-year plus member, and some of you I've known in the room for that long, others I'm just meeting and new business people. But that's the history of this club. So Bill DeAndre came to me and he said, John, let's do a legislative forum. Well, as you all know, that was right in my wheelhouse. And so I said, boy, that would be great. Let's do it. Before we get started, I want you to know that Senator Steve Rawlings is out of the country at his daughter's wedding. And he really regrets that he couldn't be here. Obviously, he would be here if he could, but he couldn't be here. And also Representative Kim Banta. She represents part of Boone County, and her husband is retiring tonight from Corporate, and obviously she had to be at that, but she sends her greetings also. We have a lot to cover tonight. We're here to talk about Boone County small business. We have a special county. You know, in Frankfurt, we talk a lot about the Golden Triangle, which is Louisville, Lexington, and Northern Kentucky for business. But in Northern Kentucky, we also have a Golden Triangle, the 3 Northern Kentucky counties. And Boone County is the bread and butter of those 3 counties. Don't let anybody tell you any different, because it is. We have more business, more commerce, and we're very special. And we want to talk about some of that tonight. And I'm so thankful to these legislators for being here. As a former legislator, I know how hard they work, and I know how busy they are. It's a full-time plus job, and they represent us well. I'm very excited that they took time from their busy schedules to be here. And I'm going to start off with Senator Williams over on the far side and introduce Senator Williams. Senator Williams served in the Senate years ago. He's back now. He represents the southern portion of Boone County. As I said before, Steve Rawlings couldn't be here. But Senator, why don't you introduce yourself and just tell us about a few things that are important to you as far as business in Boone County.
Okay, so I'm Senator Jay Williams. For you out there, that's J spelled like it is in Northern Kentucky, G-E-X, spelled J. And the only reason I got elected in 1990 by 43 votes is the first police chief of Florence was Ed J. That was his last name. And I'm pretty sure all 43 of those people were voting for him, or one of his kids, but not me. But anyway, I'm in Ed J. And I'm an infrastructure guy. Roads, water, sewer, public protection, fire, police. That's what the basic function of government is. Lots of times we get off with all of this stuff that we should be doing, international stuff, national stuff. But the rubber meets the road right here with the roads and water and sewer. And we have done a good job in Northern Kentucky in not uniting our governments. That's what people are, how we got to put all the governments together. But having common services, sharing our services, our police throughout the county, we work with the water, the sewer. That's what we've done a good job, and that's what I want to help facilitate, is that basic, those essential services of government that sometimes get forgotten because you don't notice them. I mean, the sewers, you don't see them. And so I come from a family of civil engineers, and so they make all the stuff that nobody even knows is there. They just assume it's gonna happen, assume you're gonna build a house, you're gonna have water. I remember back in the day, people would build a house and say, how do I get the water turned on? Well, they had a $500,000 house and a cistern, okay? And that was what you had out in the county in Boone back in the day. So we've come a long way, and we need to plan good government, and good government is really common sense, what people need in order to have a good living environment. I think Boone County is the best place in the world to live and to raise a family, to work, to raise a family. Got good people, good schools, and I'll keep on going. Thank you, John.
Yeah, I think we all agree with that.
Okay.
The next person I want to give a chance to say a few words is Representative Marion Proctor. Marion, thank you for being here. I'm going to drill down on a few specific issues with her later on, but right now I just would like for her to introduce herself to you and just give us a few words of what's really important to you.
Thank you. So like I said, Mary Ann Proctor, a lot of things are important to me in Boone County, but I think one of the things, in addition to our good roads, that we need quality health care. And we need more than one facility that services Northern Kentucky. So that is one of the things I've been very passionate about, to bring competition to healthcare here in our area, so that your choices aren't a car and a bridge, which I've heard some say, but really being able to have the opportunity for people to have different places to get services. Certainly as our county is growing, one of the most rapid counties growing in the Commonwealth. So that is something I'm very passionate about. My background is in healthcare, and I'm really excited that I've been appointed to the Kentucky Make America Healthy Again Task Force. So I'm really excited about that and see what we can do to make Kentucky healthier again.
And we're going to talk a little bit more about that specifically, because I think it's a very interesting topic that I know many in the room, in fact, at least one of our small business people here tonight is interested in. And then we have the young Turk next to me, TJ Roberts. TJ is in his first term in the House of Representatives, and he represents Hebron and Burlington and all that high growth area, and he's doing a great job, and he's a lot of fun and has a lot of energy. TJ, the floor is yours.
Thank you, guys. My name is TJ Roberts. I'm the representative for District 66, which is the other all Boone County district next to Mary Ann. My view on government is that our role, particularly at the state level, is just protecting life, protecting liberty, protecting property. We saw a massive extension of that in the 2010s. Our former president once said that you didn't build that the government built that, and I fundamentally reject that proposition. I believe that our job is just to make sure that people are not hurting other people, they're not taking their things. But when it comes to really building the things that make America great, it's you guys. It's the business leaders, it's the families, it's the faith, it's the communities that are really driving this effort to make Boone County the best place on the planet. Yeah, our role, police, fire, sewage, roads, those general basic, back to the basics of government that Jay was talking about. But generally just keeping the government out of the way and letting the localities really thrive off of the independence that they have. And we are a model for that in Boone County especially. So that's my general theory. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I look forward to hearing from you guys.
Thank you, TJ. I had lunch with Senator Williams a couple of days ago. We were talking about some of the different things that we wanted to cover on this forum, and one of them was infrastructure. As I said before, when we were, my first memory of the club is trying to make Kentucky 18 a 4-lane highway to Burlington. That's hard. We did the same thing with 42, and I mean, it's just, you know, it's amazing how much things have changed since those days. But infrastructure is still a big deal. So just one by one, I am going to let our panel just say a few words about infrastructure. Jay?
Okay. So I came from civil engineering firm. My dad died at 90. He had the lowest PE number in the state of Florida when he died. Actually, it expired 1 month before he died because he renewed it every year. So our dinner table conversations are about engineering, about water, sewer. The last wedding we were standing around talking about sewer gas. Okay, so that's so I look at those things. But one of the things he said is that interstates are not, they're for interstates. They're not main streets. Okay, and that you can't just build your infrastructure around an interstate to have a main street. When everybody drives up and down 75, they think that's Boone County. But there's a lot more to Boone County than just 75. And in order to offload 75 to make it drivable, you have to create local roads. We should not have to hop on an interstate to drive from Walton to the county seat. Okay, you're driving in the county. We ought to have a way to get there that's not roundabout. So one of the things I'm working on is actually TJ's with the judge, the Central Boone Parkway that's coming down Camp Ernst coming down so that I can drive from Walton to Burlington without having to hop on the interstate. It'll be shorter, it'll be faster. Some of those things looking ahead for roads. They come a long way. I'm on transportation. That's when I came back. So I was in for 8 years, as some, you know, back in the 90s. I was out for 24 years. And then only I never expected to be back. Damon Thayer drew a district that I had to say yes to. So my district is Franklin, Owen, Carroll, Gallatin, Southern Boone, and Southwest Kent. So that was a district that he drew, and everybody looks to Boone County as being the powerhouse of that district. So connecting us with the rest of the state, it's not just 75, it's 71. We have a good part of Boone County in the south that's going to go 71 to Louisville, and it's going to grow there. You have to plan for the infrastructure.
Senator, tell us about out there in Walton, because I know you made some real progress on that extra ramp. Tell me about that. They're talking about it. I know the state engineer was talking to me about how quickly you moved that project.
Yeah, so we had Walton, we had on the Walton exit when you came off 71 and went around, go south, you would back all the way up to the interstate, and we had several bad accidents and traffic fatalities. If you looked at it, hey, there was a shoulder that we could put a lane on, and so we got a lane put on, and we got that done right away when we went back in this section and kept after that. The other thing is, and sometimes it's the big thing that you're playing, and sometimes it's a little thing. That lane is going to save lives. The other thing, the other lane, so I'm the lane expert, I guess, is Walton Verona. Walton Verona schools just opened a brand new school. Well, you can't turn right going into the road to the school without, the buses have to go into the left lane to turn right because it's so sharp. So we're getting a project, and the county is looking for transportation infrastructure. It's TIDs, okay? And that TID is what the county is doing, and we're working with the county, and it's the first example of a of a TID in the state where they are doing the design that saves the state money. Okay, the state is paying for the construction. I think we'll see some more partnerships like that in the futures with the TIDs.
Yes, thank you. And I have to say, when they were doing that in the chief engineer, I said, "Boy, you're moving that fast." And he said to me, "Jay Williams wants it done." So that's all I know. So I took that as a big compliment.
That's Bob Yeager. We're not going to
a big compliment to him. Mary Ann, I want you to share with us some of your infrastructure concerns. But before you do that, and I don't think this group needs to hear this, but it's amazing to me how many people think that, you know, the state roads are like I-75 and all the other roads in the county are county and city roads. When in Kentucky, most of our roads, as you well know, are state roads. So it's a big, big job. Mary Ann.
So I look at transportation a little bit differently than Jay. For me, the area I represent, Union, it's basically suburban. So looking at where are all the new homes going to go, and we're looking at that, instead of building the homes, then coming back later and using eminent domain to take those homes, and then put in the roads 20, 30 years too late. Why aren't we proactive? So a lot of my push has been, what are we gonna do with Ridgewood, right? We've got that nice interchange now, and that's been great, but we see the development that's going up along there, and then on the other side of Hicks, right? We know what that's gonna be. So working with the county on that, there's been a lot of talk with the fiscal court and Commissioner Hand on doing the swap with Chambers and Hicks from going county and state. This county doesn't really have the money to do the development that needs to be done along Hicks Pike. So looking with the county, working collectively on that, how do we do that now before we need to do eminent domain? You know, I was in opposition to homes being taken on Frogtown. That was before my time. To me, that was a really expensive road to do $21 million in right-of-way for a really short period of road to take people who are the heartbeat of Boone County, who have lived here the whole time. It doesn't make sense to connect 25 to 42 and make that a 4-lane road and all the expense that would have been. We've got Mount Zion to handle that traffic. Now we need to continue to do Ridgewood Hicks and get Hicks going, and then let the people of Chambers kind of take over that and have some control over what happens with that tunnel, making sure those people aren't getting in as a cul-de-sac, but just being proactive instead of taking homes, being smart about our planning and doing it strategically.
Thank you, Mary Ann, and you bring up an excellent point in that a senator and a representative do kind of look at things differently, because one represents a larger area, one represents a much smaller area, and that's the way it was set up to be. It's supposed to be that way. TJ, what say you?
So one of my big philosophies on transportation is just getting consensus between the Boone County delegation in Frankfort and the fiscal court in Boone County. The governor right now, every time he puts out his proposed road plan, it largely wipes Boone County off the map. And the reality is that means that in order for us to make sure that Boone County is developing in a smart and sensible direction that still keeps our unique identity to where we're not becoming Cincinnati South, but we're still accommodating that inevitable development that is coming because we are developing so well, where we're becoming such a great place, is we have to have consensus. We all have to be a united voice and making sure that we're punching above our weight class in Frankfort. So to Mary Ann's point on eminent domain, I'm the sponsor of House Bill 353. This was a bill to amend how we do our eminent domain practices to make sure that you guys as property owners, one, if the government is taking your property for development purposes, they have to prove that it's essential. It actually defines what last resort means. It defines what essential means. It entitles you guys to a hearing, and it also modifies the compensation schedule to ensure that if the government truly proves it's a necessary thing to do, that you're not getting just the land value, you're actually getting the value that you were getting out of it as the property owner. Me personally, I believe that a just transaction is one that is consensual, but I understand the need for some level of consensus driving. So next year is my first budget year. That's when we're really cracking open the road plan, we're cracking open the budget. That's where these development projects are really coming in. And from there, my purpose is to collaborate with the 5 other representatives that have part of Boone County, the 2 senators that have Boone County, and the members of the fiscal court to just make sure that we are a united voice in what we are trying to do and accomplish in 2026 to make sure that Boone County is moving in the best direction possible.
I think that's very well said. You know, communication really is what it's all about. Frankfort is communicating with the cities and the counties. And one thing here in Boone County, we're very fortunate is we only have 3 cities. And so it's a lot easier. When I talked to Chris McDaniel, Senator McDaniel, County has like 40-some cities. I think we have a much better model here in Boone County, much easier to work with. I want to go back to healthcare. Somebody said, well, healthcare doesn't have anything to do with small business, but I disagree. I think it does a whole lot. If you don't think it does, just talk to a small business person that doesn't have anybody in the family working for the government that's trying to pay for their health care, and you'll see it's a very big deal. And I want to give everyone a chance to talk on this, but I want to give the floor to this Representative Proctor first, because she's really been kind of a pioneer on this issue. I was in the legislature for 16 years, and you you weren't hardly allowed to say the word. If you did, you got your head chopped off, you know, and I did say the word, but I didn't have to worry because I was the only one, so they knew it didn't have any chance. But she's really brought this issue to the floor, and they've made some progress. I know not as much as she's wanted to, but they have made some progress in a couple different areas, different nuances of it. So why don't you share with the group some of that, and also share with them too, because some people don't even know what certificate of need is. So tell it to us in regular people terms.
Yeah, so certificate of need is basically, it's a government permission slip that allows any health entity that comes into the Commonwealth of Kentucky, they have to go through this really long, extensive process to be able to obtain the certificate of need. It's a 9-step process. It's super expensive, and your competitor can sue you at step 3 and step 9 along the way. We've had that happen here in northern Kentucky. If you think of the Old Drawbridge Inn, you know, the Christ was going to come into that. They went through the whole channels of getting the certificate of need from the Cabinet of Health and Family Services. They were awarded that, and then St. Elizabeth sued them, and they lost at the circuit court level. So the thing that was disappointing for a lot of those people, one, it brought in competition, but two, all the other businesses that the Christ was going to bring in. So when we have opposition against bringing in healthcare services from our dominant provider, it's shutting down restaurants. It's shutting down hotels. It's shutting down all of those other services that would be bringing people in, as well as high-paying jobs. Your nurses, doctors, those are the jobs that we want here in Boone County, and that's the housing that we have here for those type of people. But right now in Kentucky, there are 32 different services and technologies that you are not allowed to come into Kentucky unless you get a government permission slip. That's hospitals, ambulances, ambulatory surgical centers, which makes surgery so much cheaper because they're outpatient, much cheaper than having hospitals being hospitalized. Your MRIs, linear accelerators for cancer treatments, PET scans, any imaging, all those things, you must get a permission slip from the government. So that really limits the competition here, which what does it do? It drives up costs. It's cost sharing. If you have a monopoly, tell me that your quality of care is healthcare is better, tell me that your prices are cheaper. It doesn't work in any situation where you have a monopoly. U.S. News and Health Report just came out. We ranked number 47 in quality of healthcare in Kentucky. Now in Boone County, for me, that's just not acceptable. We have the resources here. We have the people here to support it. Got a $10 million hospital down in Union, which I'm excited about. It's Cincinnati Children's. However, it's not a fully functioning hospital. It's just physician services with some auxiliary services.
Mary Ann, explain to us about how over in Cincinnati, over in Ohio, they don't have this certificate in need.
They do not.
Yeah.
Ohio and Indiana do not have certificate of need except for one services, and that's long-term care. So this argument that, well, if we get rid of certificate of need, all of our healthcare facilities are going to close, that's not actually true. And since 2004, we've had 5 rural hospitals that have closed, and we really currently have 17 that are in imminent danger of closing, and that is with certificate of need in place. We do not have that in Ohio, we do not have that in Indiana. Why? Because competition. Competition always makes a better service and makes things thrive.
You did a great explanation, and to the best of my ability, I think everyone here on this panel agrees with Mary Ann. If somebody has a different point of view, they're welcome to share it. But in full disclosure, there are people that disagree with it. I don't. I totally agree with her. But I did notice that the Rotary is having the Kentucky Hospital Association, I think, on Monday, and they oppose this. So if you want to hear the other side, you can hear it there. But you know, I agree with her. Do either of you want to speak on that, or I was going to move on, but
I'd like to say one
go
thing.
ahead. Yeah, tell them the birthing centers too. Yeah.
Yeah, well, so we got birthing centers, but in the Senate, we have a chairman that's not going to do it because he has rural health care. He was a hospital administrator. KHA is going to be against it. From all the rural hospitals, they shut it down. So I'm thinking about approaching this economic development thing, and it's a monopoly. That's what it does. Started in 1982, every state in the nation had to have certificate of need. And if you took Medicare or Medicaid, they made that because they wanted to limit services to people. It was about limiting services. That's what monopolies do. And so this is the only area in the state. Louisville and Lexington have 2 or 3 services. The other rural state counties, they only have 1. But we're the largest MSA, we're the largest counties in the state. We should have more than one provider. This is just a plain monopoly. And the people that work at that one provider would be making more money if there was if there were 2 or 3 other providers that they could go and sell their services as a nurse or a physician or whatever they want to do. So I'm going to make a run at it from the economic development side, see if I can bypass that committee and just talk about monopolies. We should not have a monopoly here in northern Kentucky.
It's interesting because in the Senate, the chairman of the health board, he's a hospital guy, and he's just totally against it, so we've got a real problem with there. TJ?
Yeah, I just want to talk about this from a patient perspective. So I'm not too public about this. I'm diabetic. In 2021, I fell into diabetic ketoacidosis. I was taken to a hospital in northern Kentucky. My medical bill from that was $4,000 for that one night in the hospital. 2023, I had a similar incident happen, but instead of being in a northern Kentucky hospital, I was in Cincinnati. I had the same health coverage, the same job, I was at the same income level, and my bill that time was $800. Simply put, businesses can't thrive unless they have a healthy workforce, and a workforce can't be healthy if they are scared to go and get medical care, if they are worried that they're going to wind up in a bankruptcy court because they can't afford the bills to get themselves back into a condition to where they can return to work. So I'm all in on Mary Ann's perspective on reforming and getting rid of CON as much as humanly possible, because we need competition. You guys as business owners know competition works. It allows for excellence, it allows for innovation, and it allows for a greater workforce to truly develop in a good way. So I'm all in on this.
Thank you, Representative. The next item I'm going to talk about is a big item. It's taxes and work. And I'm sorry, Commissioner, I saw you put your hand up, but we're going to do it after a few minutes. I'll make sure you get a chance to ask something. The next item we're going to talk about is a big item: taxes and regulation. And we're going to talk about taxes first, because it's been a multi-year thing, and I'm really proud of the work the legislators the Kentucky General Assembly has done on taxes. TJ, I'm going to let you go first and just talk a little bit about what has been going on. You know, it's kind of interesting to me because this is a nonpartisan, our club is nonpartisan, but the tax issue really is, that's one of the issues where there really is a disagreement with parties in Frankfort. You know, Frankfort's a funny place. A lot of the disagreements are city, rural, and geographic, but this particular one I think is more of a partisan difference. Go ahead, TJ.
So the Supreme Court, more than 100 years ago, I'm pretty sure, once said that the power to tax is the power to destroy. And that is especially felt in workforce and business issues, where the government continuously takes a cut of what you have rightfully earned for yourself and for your family and for your business. We have neighboring states that have no income tax that are rapidly going toward the path of eliminating the income tax. Fortunately, Kentucky is on the path. We've gone from 6% down to 3.5% beginning in January of 2026. So we are on that pathway, but I think that transitioning from an income-driven taxation model to a consumption-driven taxation model will bring in greater workforce. We can see that has happened in Tennessee. We can see that's happened in Florida. We can see it's happened in Texas. It's happening in even bluish states like New Hampshire. I think getting rid of the income tax should be a top priority, and we should be expanding options and giving more of a say to the people in localities on what the taxation models are in our Commonwealth, because that is a working model. I mean, just one example that love bringing up. If I told you that there was a state that makes it to where local governments have the primary taxing authority, states obviously still do, but before a new tax or a tax increase can go into effect, it has to pass a ballot measure. The ballot measure tells you what's getting taxed, what rate is getting taxed at, how much it costs the average family, and where that money is going to go. You guys would think I'm talking Florida, Texas, these free states. It's Colorado. And it's been that way for 33 years. It's known as the Taxpayer Bill of Rights, which is something that I'm fighting to bring into Kentucky as well. So that way we can speed up that decision and bring in financial transparency as a government. Because look, taxes is not my money. It's not the government's money. It's your money that you are being compelled to pay in order to keep the government functioning. You should have a say on that. And I think that's a brilliant model to approach it, of just really adopting consent of the governed. And we can continue on the tax, or I can go to regulation after.
We'll let Senator Williams have a shot at this. Senator?
Yeah, well, definitely need to keep the income tax going down, and we hope it's going to take some effort not to stall at 3.5%. Okay, and actually, because of the way taxes were collected this year, next year, according to the books, we won't be able to cut according to what we have on the statute. Okay, but that's because of all the floods. They delayed having to file your taxes until November. And so, and our cutoff is in October. And so we have a serious tax shortfall in Kentucky right now that will be made up in November, but not in time to actually get our cut. So we are gonna have, but it's probably gonna be enough that we should do at least 0.25%, not just a 0.5% cut. Some cut that we can do. We have to keep that momentum going. So that's gonna take some legislation. The other thing that really galls me is the property tax and our homestead exemption, which is in essence almost an insult to everybody. Okay, when you look at the price of homes and look at what you do. And on my honeymoon in the Caribbean, the cab driver said, "We're not like you Americans who rent your property." I said, "Wait a second, we own our property." This is a guy on a little Caribbean island. I said, no, we own our property, but stop paying your taxes and the owner will show up and tell you who actually owns your property. Okay. and so I like it. We have got to get to where not just the older people on fixed incomes, but the younger people can't afford their taxes. I mean, we're looking at the cost of insurance, the cost of bill. I mean, I mentioned a $500,000 home, which used to be a high-end home, and that's just a little bit larger than a starter house now. I mean, and you got to pay taxes on that, and it's killing them. We need to go across the board with a homestead exemption, and it's going to have some impact. It's going to take some adjustment, but we need to build homes. We need to get people into homes, and home ownership is the backbone of middle-class America, so we got to support that.
Thank you, Senator. Representative, I was wondering if maybe you could transition a little bit into regulation, because KAR, because I know that is burdensome, or not, if not more burdensome to business and taxes. Talk about that a little bit. Take that off for us.
Yeah, that's fine. You know, one of the things, I'm still a little hung up on the taxes.
Okay, well, go ahead.
Because it's one of the biggest complaints I get is certainly from my seniors, they're being taxed out of their homes. And if you look at your property tax bill, more than 65% of that goes to schools, which stays here locally, right? And that would be fine if our schools were doing fantastic, but we're at 35% proficiency in reading, 45% proficiency in math, and 6% proficiency in science in the Commonwealth. I don't think that's a good return on our investment. However, I don't see a lot of people going to the school board meetings when they do their annual, hey, let's bump it up 4%, which directly impacts your property tax. I would like to see people go and express their opinions on that. But, you know, I'm with you guys, and we've got to do something about these taxes, and not just on our property, but our vehicles. Holy smokes, you're so disincentivized to buy a new vehicle, and then again, you don't ever own it. You're writing that check every year, and it's not inexpensive. The thing I'm concerned about is, you know, we talk about, well, we can't afford to do tax cuts, we can't afford to do it. Sure we can. The question's never asked, what are we willing to cut? That never comes up. I've been through a budget year, and I don't really hear anything about what are we cutting. So we've got to find things that we can cut. We have got to incentivize people to go back to work. We've got a problem with our workforce, with our young people that really don't have a desire to work. As long as we incentivize them to stay at home, they will. So for me, it's what can we do? What regulations can we get out of the way? What can we get rid of to incentivize our workforce, to get people back? And what red tape can we cut? So if you want to go, I had somebody come up to me, wants to start a new financial investment. He can't get through all the regulations just to even begin this business that's been going on for months. Now, part of that's our executive branch. Don't have a lot of control over that. And realize he has more power when we're out of session than when we're in. So it's things like that that we need to address, but we've got to have some help certainly from the executive branch.
Well said. I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize. And TJ whispered in my ear that he is willing to talk about KARs, that's in for Kentucky Administrative Regulations, which is really and I see Bill McCarty there shaking his head, because anybody that's in business knows that the administrative regulations are really tough to deal with.
Yeah, administrative regulations is most of our body of laws. Even though we're the ones that are called lawmakers, it's usually unelected bureaucrats that are really bogging down the Commonwealth. And that's one of the biggest issues that I have, where we have three branches of government: the legislative, the people who write the laws; the judiciary, who interprets the laws; and the executive branch, who carries them out. The executive branch has gotten out of control, and this has been a problem not just in Kentucky, but everywhere. I mean, we are bogged down by outdated regulations that you never got to vote for. No one votes on who is the Secretary for the Cabinet for Health and Family Services. No one votes on who the Secretary of Transportation is. You do get to vote on who your state house rep is. You do get to vote on who your state senator is. You do get to vote on your city council races. And for me, to see the executive branch just go far beyond the role it is meant to be in is just outrageous to me. That's why I was very happy to see House Bill 6 be a priority bill this year that we were able to get through, and I was honored to get to vote for it twice because the governor vetoed it and we overrode his veto. So House Bill 6 is the REINS Act. The REINS Act was, so there's a federal partner to it. It was actually written by a great, but the person who originally proposed it was Lloyd Rogers, may he rest in peace. This was just a fundamental bring back the lawmaking authority to the lawmakers. So the way we did that in Kentucky is that if an administrative regulation is estimated to cost Kentuckians $500,000 over the span of 2 years, it must be ratified by the legislature before it takes effect. That is a transformative measure to ensure that the government is not getting in the way of the people of Kentucky. It's a way to bring it back to the lawmaking branch, the people's branch, the responsive branch, to be able to actually set forth the policy of the Commonwealth, as we have repeatedly been tasked with doing. People are sick and tired of having to go to agency after agency after agency just to set up a mom-and-pop shop. These major corporations, they can afford that. It's the people like us who can't. So it's a good thing that we are taking paths forward to deregulate. We also had my predecessor, who's now Senator Steve Rawlings, got Senate Bill 84 through as well. That makes clear that the courts are not obligated to just give unilateral deference to the executive branch, that they're able to exercise their independent judgment in their interpretation of the laws. So that way we're not just living under rule by executive decree, and we are actually respecting our separation of powers. And that is just essential to protecting life, protecting liberty, protecting property, protecting free enterprise in the Commonwealth. So those are just some of those things that will actually get us to a point where we can really crack open these issues, cut back on excessive government, so that way we can rapidly get rid of income taxes, get rid of property taxes, which are, in my view, the most immoral form of taxation. But that's the thing, is that the less the government is on your shoulders, the better you guys can thrive.
Well said, TJ. Thank you. Next we're going to talk about some fun stuff. We've talked about taxes and all that, but I love to talk about Boone County and tourism. But before we go right into tourism, I do want to talk about workforce, or let the panel talk about workforce, because to me, tourism and workforce in Boone County is a little bit integrated. Does anybody on the panel have any thoughts on workforce development? Because that's something, we hear from a lot of folks about. Senator Williams.
So I've got a education bill that deals with workforce development. So back in the day, you could drop all the guys. I worked for housing, building, construction under Matt Bevan doing IT for him. Every one of those plumbing inspectors, HVAC inspectors, the guys that managed it, most of them had dropped out at 16. Some of them got their GED, went and become apprentice plumbers or apprentice electricians. By the time they were 21, they were journeymen making good money, and they didn't have this. And so we've got the situation now where you have to sit in your seat till you're 18, even though you're not going to go to college, okay? And you're sort of treated as a second-class citizen if you're not going to college. Now, if you're going to college, getting a PhD, we'll let you get out early. You can get your junior year and get out early. So what I'm working on is a program that will allow a 16-year-old to do an early graduation, not drop out. Take the basic stuff they have to take, which is an economics program, American citizenship questions, which we now require, and then be enrolled in an apprentice program that they can go out there and apprentice. And it's interesting, I had some union workers that were there the other day, and the unions used to want to have all these rules about kids not being able to work because they had too many union members. Now they need union members. Every non-union people need non-union people. Everybody needs workers. There's kids that want to work that don't want to go to college and go into debt. They want to make money. And they were all about it. And once a kid graduates at 16, there are no work rules. That kid can work like a plumber. When you're an apprentice in the season, you're going to be working 12 hours a day. If you're in high school, you can't do that. But if you graduated from high school and you're in an apprenticeship program, you can get the work, so you can be a journeyman at 21, have money in the bank instead of debt on that. And that is a lot of this next generation. We need to provide that avenue for them and for craftsmen and work. And I think that will get more people into the workforce now than anything. So I'm hoping that will go.